What's up, everybody? Watt007 here, and welcome back to a brand new Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links video. And in today's Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links video, I'm going to give you guys all my tips and tricks on what's the best card to get with your SR Dream ticket. Now, a lot of the principles and a lot of the tips that I am going to give to you guys at the beginning of this video is going to be very similar to my UR Dream ticket video. So if you watch that one, you can probably skip ahead when I actually talk about the cards themselves. But I'm going to give you guys a lot of pointers on how to utilize this Dream ticket efficiently and then recommend some cards for all of you guys. So I hope this video does help all of you guys, and if it does help, you know what to do. Leave a like on the video down below, and if this video does help you out too, be sure to subscribe to the channel for more Yu-Gi-Oh content. And also, before we get into today's Duel Links video, I gotta give a big shout out to all of my Chaos Triangle Pioneer members and my Mr. Treadle OnlyFans members. So let me give a shout out to you guys real quick, and then we'll get back to the video. Thank you to Hazri, Xri, Hope Dick Cruz, and Zornilla for being YouTube members at the Chaos Triangle Pioneer tier, and then thank you so much to HFA Recon and Mr. Caleb 1354 for being members at the Misty Treadle OnlyFans tiers. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for the support and the continued support on the YouTube channel. Love you guys so much. Thank you. Now, the first tip I got to give to you guys, if you don't know what you want to spend your SR Dream ticket on, is straight up just don't spend the ticket. You have until January 31st of 2021 to spend this ticket, and if you just don't know what card to get, just save the dang ticket. You never know when Konami is going to drop a box in the game and it releases a brand new meta deck that is extremely powerful, but that new meta deck needs cards from older boxes, and you maybe need that one card to make your new meta deck good. And if you had your SR Dream ticket lying around, you can just snag that card real quick from one of those old boxes instead of wasting a bunch of money and gems on that old box that has a bunch of other useless cards, and then you are good to go. And deadass, if you're planning to play this game until January 30th of 2021, set a reminder on your phone or whatever app that uses that reminder. Set a reminder on January 30th to spend your SR Dream ticket if you still don't spend it. Just a heads up on that, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. I do the same thing with both of these tickets. I don't plan to spend these tickets anytime soon until I actually know what I want from them. So I'm going to save these guys until January 30th. And then if I do spend it before then, sweet. If I don't, then I'll just get some random card that's pretty good. So there's my first tip right there. Just save it and then be sure to spend it before January 30th. Next up, my other tip that I got to give to you guys, and I'm so glad that Konami added this feature right here, but basically what you can do is that if you click this little drop down arrow, you can actually click this box right here called boxes, and this will automatically filter out all the non-box cards from this SR Dream ticket. Because what's cool about the SR Dream ticket is that you can basically get anything under the sun from this ticket, but what you want to do is you want to filter it to just boxes, so you make sure that you're getting either a box card or a structure deck card, cards that you need to use gems or money to get. These other cards right here that are not in the filter right here, these are from like events and whatnot, so you want to turn that thing on right here so you make sure that you are getting a card from one of these boxes. So just a heads up on that there, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure to turn that filter on. It's gonna be so useful. Now, for the first part of this video on the cards I'm gonna recommend to you guys, I'm first gonna talk about cards that are very useful in just about any single deck. We're gonna go to the traps real quick, because the one trap card that I can recommend to you guys if you don't have one or two copies of it would be Treacherous Trap Hole. Now, Treacherous Trap Hole is the limit 2 list, and if you guys are newer to the game and don't know what the limit 2 list does, basically you only can choose 2 cards from the entire limited 2 list to put into your deck. So for example, you can't put 2 copies of Treacherous Trap Hole and 2 copies of Concentrated Current in your deck. You have to choose one or the other, or 2 or the other. And just a heads up right there. But anyways, though, Treacherous Trap Hole, there's a reason why this card is in the limited 2 list, because it's just such a powerful card. If you have no trap cards in your graveyard, you can target 2 monsters on the field and destroy those targets. This can basically stop your opponent from going into Xyz summons, Synchro summons, and just in general, you are able to pop 2 monsters on the field, and if you pop 2 of your opponent's monsters, you're just gonna have such a good advantage right here. This card is very good because it's just one card that can pop 2 cards in the game. Very powerful trap card, and I cannot recommend this card enough. Now, keep in mind though that this card can be pretty difficult to use depending on which deck that you're playing, because of its requirement that you have to have no trap cards in your graveyard. Sometimes you are gonna have to build a deck that only has Treacherous Trap Hole in it, and then the rest of your spell and trap cards have to be spell cards, just so that you have a guaranteed chance of utilizing Treacherous Trap Hole when you draw into it, because it is not fun when you draw into this card when you already have a trap card in your graveyard and you can't use it. So keep that in mind. But still, very powerful trap card. There's a reason why it's on the limited 2 list. The ability to just pop 2 cards on the field from this card alone is just absolutely insane. Very good beginner card for a lot of players in the game. So get 1 copy of Enemy Controller, get your 1 copy of Treacherous Trap Hole, and just go to work. Moving on to spell cards, another card that I would strongly recommend would have to be Hey True Nade, a very powerful back row removal card, and this card states return all set spell and traps on the field to the hand. So if your opponent has 3 cards face down, you play Hey True Nade and just return them back to your opponent's hand, and then go for an OTK or just get an advantage against your opponent. Very powerful card, can be more useful than Cosmic Cyclone in certain situations. There's a reason why this card is also on the limited 2 list, because you just get to basically get rid of all the back row cards. You get to force your opponent to activate certain cards, get rid of certain cards. It's so much good. It's such a good card. Very good card. And the next card that I would recommend that can be used in just about any single deck would have to be Concentrating Current. This card's in a fantastic quick play spell card that states you can target one face-up monster you control, it gains attack equal to its current defense. Until the end of this turn, other monsters you control cannot attack during the turn you activate this card. But what's so good about this card is that when you're going for an attack with one of your big boss monsters, you can trigger this card to basically stack the attack and defense of the monster together to make it have so much attack. So for example, if you're attacking with something like Utopia, play Concentrating Current, you get your Utopia up to 4,500 attack, and that could just help you go for a potential OTK. Such a fantastic card. It's a quick play spell card, so you can play this during either player's turn. So if your opponent's attacking into you and you have this card face down, flip Concentrating Current up, boost the attack of your monster, there you go. Or if you're going for the OTK, you just boost your monster's attack and boom bada bang, there we go. And yeah, those are going to be the 3 cards that I would recommend to you guys that are very generic, that can be used in any deck. Now I'm going to move on to cards that are extremely useful but can't be used in every single deck. Let's get into it. Moving back to trap cards, I got to give a shout out to Humid Wins, because this card makes Arrow Mage decks very good. You can pay 1,000 life points, add an aroma monster from your deck to your hand. If your life points is lower than your opponent, you can gain 500 life points. You can use each effect of this card once per turn. But yeah, this card just makes Arrow Mages so powerful. You get to search for any one of your Arrow Mages, and that's just such a good effect. And then on top of that, when your life points are lower than your opponent's, the fact that you can gain life points through this card means that you can trigger your Arrow Mage's effects, get your life points back up, and just go to work against your opponent. Fantastic card. If you're playing Arrow Mages, definitely take a look at this card. Next up, we're going to take a look at Blackbird Close. Right now, it's not on the ban list yet, but it's going to get added to the ban list for good reason. This card is just a negate from the hand that's just so good for Blackwings. When a monster your opponent controls activates an effect, you can send one of your Blackwing monsters to the graveyard, negate the activation if you do destroy. And then on top of that, if you have a Blackwing Dragon in your deck, you can special summon it onto your field after you activate this card. So you get to sack off one of your Blackwings, which is not a big deal because you can spam out Blackwings like it's no other. Negate the effect of your opponent's monster and then summon a Blackwing Dragon. Busted card. Busted card. There's a reason why it's getting on the ban list very soon. And then before we leave the trap cards in today's video, I gotta give a special shout out to Wall Disruption. This card doesn't see any play in Platinum rank and in Legend rank, or if it does see play, it's far and in between, like it just rarely happens. But in the lower ranks, this is not too bad of a starter card to recommend, especially to new players. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, all attack monsters your opponent controls lose 800 attack for each monster they control. So if your opponent attacks you with 3 monsters, all of them lose 2400 attack. It's a fantastic card when used accordingly. But still, the top decks in this game have ways to easily get rid of back row that doesn't activate until the damage step. So just keeping that in mind. But still, as a new player, not too bad, but still focus on the cards that I recommended at the beginning of the video more than this card. But still, if you need something else to use your SR Dream Ticket on, there you go. Next up, moving back to spell cards, 2 cards right here that are fantastic for the DDD archetype, but that would be Dark Contract of the Swamp King and Dark Contract of the Gate. I say Dark Contract of the Gate is probably better than Swamp King, because this card you can search for a DD monster from your deck to your hand. And yeah, these 2 cards right here just make the DDD archetype very powerful. So if you need to get that 3rd copy of whatever DDD card you need, use that SR Dream Ticket on it. Another card that I would recommend too is Charge of the Light Brigade if you don't have 3 copies of this card, because if you're playing Light Sworns, this is a card that you need at 3. Actually, you're going to need it at 2. I forgot, it's getting onto the limited 2 list very soon. So you only need 2 copies of this card nowadays, but it's a fantastic card. You can send 3 cards from your deck to the graveyard to add a level 4 lower Light Sworn monster from your deck to your hand. You get to search for a Light Sworn monster, send cards to the graveyard. You can utilize those graveyard cards to go into certain combos. Fantastic card. There's a reason why it's getting onto the limited 2 list very soon. Good card. Palace of the Elemental Lords is another card that is going to be pretty good. Keep in mind though, it's not going to be as powerful as it was before, because Alistair and the Evoker is also getting on the limited list soon. But still, this card was limited to 3 because you can basically add an Element Saber monster from your deck to your hand. And then on top of that, if one of your Element Saber monsters has an effect that you want to activate, instead of sending an Element Saber from your hand to the graveyard, you can use Palace's effect to send it from the deck to the graveyard. So if you don't have any more Element Saber monsters in your hand, you can just utilize this card, send them to the graveyard, and then floodgate your opponent's monster or trigger whatever other element saber monster you wanted to do. Fantastic card right there. Again, I'm gonna recommend Neo's Fusion, but at the same time, it's not gonna be as good as what it used to be. So this is now gonna be like a good starter card. It's not gonna be a good meta card, because before the ban list that we're getting in later in October hits, Invoked Neos was a very powerful deck and a very toxic deck, and I would strongly recommend Neos Fusion, especially as a free-to-play player, if Aliester the Invoker wasn't getting hit. But now Neos Fusion is just an okay card to recommend for brand new players, because you can get one copy of this card for free from the structure deck, and then you can get a second copy of this card for free from this or the SR Dream ticket. And this card's fantastic because you can special summon one fusion monster from extra deck that lists 2 monsters of material, including Neos. So basically you can special summon a elemental hero Brave Neos for free with Neos Fusion, and then on top of that you can send something like a Bacon Saber to the graveyard, so you can get one beefy boy in the field, Bacon Saber in the graveyard to protect yourself, and boom bada bang, there you go. Very fantastic card. It's just not as good as it is because of the fact that Invoker is getting hit too, because Invoker Neos is very toxic, but yeah, I can't use it anymore, unfortunately. And yeah, that's going to be kind of it when it comes to my recommendations with the SR Dream ticket. Some quick shout outs I'll say is Mass Change, Spellbook of Secrets, and Destruction, Swordsman Fusion are all good cards. They don't see any like competitive play, but they're still solid cards that you can utilize in your decks. And there's some other cards in here too, like, you know, Fire Formation Groku, not a horrible card, but these cards that I just recommended just now are cards that don't really see that much play at all. So while they are useful cards, you just don't see any competitive play anymore. So that's why I'm not really recommending them, but yeah, you know what I mean. Okay, so moving on to the extra deck monsters that you can get with your SR Dream ticket. A lot of these picks I'm going to recommend to you guys are going to be fantastic, because with most of these extra deck cards, you only need one copy of the cards to get its full usage out of them. So let me just rapid fire to you guys a ton of useful Synchro monsters and a couple fusion monsters. Starting off with the Synchro monsters, Powered Insectron, HTS, Cyber Myth, completely butchered that card. Fantastic card still. Stardust Charge Warrior, White Aura Dolphin, Fortune Lady Every, Star Eater, and I would say Junk Archer can be pretty useful in some situations, and also DDT Gus, High King Alexander. All fantastic cards that you can potentially consider with your SR Dream ticket. Powered Insectron is a fantastic 6-star generic monster that when summoned on the field, it cannot be destroyed by battle or by card effects, and you take no damage. Crystons love this card because when you summon it on your opponent's turn, you're basically immune from your opponent because they can't get rid of this card. Fantastic. HTS Pynemith, completely butchered it again, but a fantastic card right here, because after damage calculation, when this card battles an opponent's monster, you can banish this card and your opponent's card at the same time. So very good card, can get rid of some pretty tricky monsters thanks to this guy. Stardust Charge Warrior, fantastic 6-star generic synchro monster, because when summoned you can draw a card. Also you can attack all special summon monsters your opponent controls once each. Very cool card. White Aura Dolphin, when used correctly in water decks, can be very toxic. Once per turn you can target one face of monster your opponent controls. It attacks, becomes half its original attack until the end of the turn, and as this card is destroyed, you can special summon it back by banishing a water monster from your graveyard, and then this card becomes a tuner through its effect. So you can basically continuously summon this card over and over and over again, because you have so many water monsters in your graveyard. And on top of that, you can target your opponent's monsters and cut their attack in half. Very good card. Fortune Lady Every, fantastic 7-star synchro monster. Now it does take non-tuner spellcaster monsters to summon into it, but still very good card right here, because when you get it on the field, it's going to be 2800 attack, 2800 defense. During each of your standby phases, you can banish one card your opponent controls that's a face of monster. Fantastic card. And also on top of that, if this card is in your graveyard and you have another spellcaster type monster in your graveyard, you can special summon this card back into the field. So it's a floater, 2800 attack from the get-go, can actually gain attack during each of your standby phases, and on top of that you can banish one card your opponent controls during each of your standby phases. Fantastic card. Low Eater, fantastic 11-star synchro monster. When it's summoned, it cannot get negated, and on top of that, when it attacks, it's unaffected by other card effects till the end of the damage step. Super good right there. I like it a lot. And then last but not least, when it comes to the synchro monsters that I'd strongly recommend, DDD Gus, High King Alexander, fantastic generic 10-star synchro monster. When you play it with the DDDs and you have a couple other DDD monsters on the field, it gains 3000 attack, which is just insane. And then on top of that, it is a generic 10-star monster. So if your deck can synchro summon into 10-star monsters, you have a 3k beater into your arsenal, which can be useful depending on what deck you're playing. And then when it comes to fusion monsters, I would only recommend Coiled Magician and Invoke Magellania. If you are playing Invokes, you probably already have a copy of this card, because you're trying to get 3 copies of Aliester the Invoker anyways. But by the odd chance you're a player that has 3 Invoker and 0 copies of this guy, might as well use your SR Dream ticket on it. And Coiled Magician's cool because you use 5 spellcaster type monsters to get a big 4500 attack and defense monster, and then on top of that, when this card's fusion summoned with 5 different spellcaster type monsters, you can just blow up everything on the field. So so it's a cool card. Moving on to the main deck monsters. Now for this part of the video, I'm just gonna quickly rapid fire a bunch of main deck monsters that are good for certain archetypes. There's no like good cards from these SR monsters that could be used in like every single deck in the game, so I'm just gonna quickly spitball a ton of stuff as I'm scrolling down this list. So if I missed one, let me know in the comment section down below. Scrolling down here, if you are playing Lunalights, definitely get 3 copies of Lunalight Yellow Martin. This card helps you go into combos, into being able to OTK your opponent. And Lunalights is not too shabby of a deck that you can get early on as a Duel Links player, because it's not a bad deck for ranking up in Duel Links. Graded Handle Light Sword is a fantastic light sword monster. It's a 4-star tuner, so you can go into your synchro toolbox with this card. Comboed with Lumina, you have access to 7-star synchro monsters, and this card helps you mill out your deck, which light swords need, and it's one of the few light sword cards in the game that can mill during the main phase. So fantastic card right here. If you're playing light swords, get this card. Sage of the Eyes of Blue, fantastic card to combo with Whitestone Ancients. When it's normal summon, you can add a level 1 light tuner monster from your deck to your hand, which is any of those blue eyes monsters. On top of that, you can discard this card, target effect monster you control, send it to the graveyard, and if you do special summon a blue eyes monster from your deck, depends on what card you target. If you target a maiden with the Eyes of Blue or Whitestone Ancients with Sage of the Eyes of Blue, you can potentially summon 2 Blue Eyes with Dragons in 1 turn. Fantastic card. If you played Super Heavy Samurais, while I'm not too knowledgeable on this deck, Soul Piercer is definitely one of the cards that helps out with the deck, so recommend that real quick. Same goes with Thunder Dragon Duo, a fantastic monster that you can special summon by banishing a light and dark monster from your graveyard. 2800 attack, very cool card. Cyber Dragon Core, a core part of the deck for Cyber Dragons, so if you don't have 3 copies of this guy and you love Cyber Dragons, definitely cop him. As much as it pains me, I still gotta give a shout out to these stupid cards. I hate Shiranuis with a passion, but these cards are very good, and if you are a new player in Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links, definitely take a look at these cards right here and start building Shiranuis, because it's a fantastic synchro deck that can teach you how to synchro summon, and it's a good combo deck that can be very powerful in the right hands. So as much as it pains me to recommend these stupid cards, I gotta recommend them. Shout out to Dark Signer Misty Treadwell and Dark Signer Carly. I'm gonna quickly mention Block Dragon right now because this card is broken in the TCG and people are happy that this card is banned. It's still at 3 in Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links, and who knows, maybe in the future we'll get some broken Earth support or broken Rock support in the game where we can really combo Block Dragon to its full potential later on in Duel Links. So just keep your SR Dream Ticket lying around just in case Block Dragon becomes OP and you don't have any copies of it. Dark Lords don't see that much play anymore, but I have seen them occasionally in PvP. In the right player, they can definitely still pop off depending on how you build the deck. So I'll just quickly mention these guys. One card right here that is very powerful is Bujin Crane. Bujin got a ton of support in the most recent box in Duel Links, and I still gotta experiment with the cards, but I know that this deck is going to be broken. Bujin Crane is a fantastic card for Bujins because you can send this card from your hand to the graveyard and double the attack of your monster that's attacking. So if you have one of your Bujin Xyz monsters, you get to double that sucker's attack and just go for a game. Such a dumb card. I'm not looking forward to getting competitive in Duel Links again because Bujins are going to be a pain in the butt to deal with. But yeah, fantastic card. If you don't have 3 copies of this card and you're playing Bujins, get 3 copies of this card. I'm going to quickly mention Girga Attacker because there has been some rumors that Girgas are getting support very soon, and Girgas is a pretty interesting deck and used to be meta in the game. So I'm going to quickly shout out this card. Keep this card in the back of your mind. Bujin Amato and Dawn Knight are both fantastic SR cards for each of their decks. So right here, this card actually can combo with Bujins. I just realized because you can send a light monster from your deck to your graveyard, and all Bujin monsters are light monsters, so there's something to keep in mind. This card also, Dawn Knight, also works well in Blue Eyes White Dragon because you can send a Whitestone Ancients to the graveyard to summon a Blue Eyes White Dragon at the end of the turn, so that's pretty cool. Bujin Yamato, very good card right here because once per turn during your end phase, you can add a Bujin monster for your deck to your hand, then send 1 card from your hand to the graveyard. So pretty good card right here, can get your Bujin combos going. Very good card to consider for Bujins. And then last but not least for today's video, I gotta give a big shout out to Jerry Beans, man. Easily one of the best cards to get with your SR Dream Ticket. It's a fantastic 3-star vanilla monster at 1700 attack or 1750 attack. Super good card. Can't recommend this card enough. Definitely get 3 copies of the card if you haven't already. Well, it looks like that's going to be it for me in today's Duel Links video. I hope this video helped you guys out on choosing what card you want to get with your SR Dream Ticket. If it did help, you know what to do. Leave a like in the video and subscribe to the channel for more Duel Links content. Other than that, that's going to be it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video, and I'll go see you guys in the next one. Adios, everybody.